What's the definition of a fascist?
I'm glad you've asked. Let's agree to start with a definite. You want to read that for me? That's from Merriam-Webster.
Political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation, and often raised above the individual and stands for the centralized. Reading that, I would say no, because I don't think he exalts the nation at all.
Okay. Well, hold on. Continue. It's centralized.
Okay. Centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader. Well, I do think he's dictatorial.
Okay.
Severe economic and social regimentation. No. Forcible suppression of opposition. Yes.
Okay. So there you go. You just made a few assertions there based on the definition of fascism, but we agree on the definition of fascism. I'm defining it as per the dictionary.
Where did that come from anyway?
Merriam-Webster.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can here. So where would you say he's a fascist, Donald Trump?
I would say that opposition,
the suppression of opposition?
Right, the suppression of opposition.
Okay, how so?
Well, let's see, we just had the man's security clearance removed simply because he has vocally disagreed with President Trump.
Which man are we talking about?
The ex-general, or he was a military man.
Okay.
Or no, actually, I think he'd been the CIA director under Obama.
Okay.
And he's threatening to remove other people's security clearances as well.
Okay.
He also says the press is the enemy of the people.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, so can we take a couple of those now? Because you just issued two.
Okay.
So a couple of things. For example, probably the most severe example is he fired Comey, right? That was a big one.
Okay.
Fired James Comey. So we're talking about the investigation. I know we often go to the Russia probe or who he's granted security clearances to or removed. Let me ask you this. Is it within his constitutional authority to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So that wouldn't be an example of fascism.
No.
Your problem isn't with Donald Trump. Your problem is with the United States law. Then you talk about, he said, I want to make sure I have your quote correct, that the press is the enemy of the people. Is that what you said?
I think it said oppresses in that definition.
Yes, but that was a quote that you used, right? That Donald Trump has said the press is the enemy of...
Yes, he says the press is the enemy of the people.
Okay. Do you know where that quote actually comes from?
No, I don't.
Stalin. Yeah, Donald Trump didn't say that. He talked about fake news being the enemy of the public.
But is he not saying that right now himself?
No, he's talking about fake news is a quote that he's used, which was a leftist term, I'm sure you know. It was invented by liberals, which he then co-opted, being an enemy of people. Is he not
saying himself that right now, currently, whoever said it first, is he not currently saying that the press is the enemy of the people?
That exact quote is a quote attributed to Stalin.
Has he said it himself? Am I misinformed? Has he not said it himself?
Yes, you are. And let's move on to...
I'm misinformed?
Yes.
I've not seen his tweets that say the press is the enemy of the people.
No,
or his television
he's talking about fake news, But let's move on again to, there's rhetoric, I think is important, and there's policy. So you've talked about the press, for example, and I think that's important. I think freedom of the press is very important. For example, we both agree if someone sought to nationalize the press, that would be a problem. That'd be a step toward fascism, right? Would we both agree on that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we have some common ground there. What has Donald Trump done as far as actionable steps taken towards suppression of the free press?
Well, hasn't he tried to not allow people into the White House, into the press room? He's trying to dictate who's allowed to come in and not come in. That's a small amount of suppression. It's not a legal, huge...
Sure. Oh, sorry.
He hasn't passed a law. He hasn't pulled out the police. But just in saying that
So back to the rhetoric.
Right, the rhetoric.
So not so much policy, it sounds to me, you have a problem with the rhetoric.
That's correct.
Because his policies would actually fly in the face of that. Because you were the one who sat down, you believe he's a fascist. So if we talk about policy, President Obama actually withheld more information, spent $36-odd-something million under the Freedom of Information Act to withhold information from journalists.
How did we get to Obama?
Well, hold on, this is why it matters. Because Donald Trump has not done that. Donald Trump has not done that.
It does not matter. We are not going to Obama to compare Obama.
Is Obama a fascist?
I don't know.
Okay. But you said with such authority that Donald Trump is a fascist. If I may just continue along with my point here. Barack Obama used the Espionage Act not only to spy on, but prosecute more leakers, whistleblowers, and journalists than any president in history. The reason I bring this up is because Donald Trump hasn't done that. As a matter of fact, he's been more transparent. He's been more open to the press than the previous president. I don't think Barack Obama was a fascist. And I don't think Donald Trump is a fascist. You are saying definitively that Donald Trump is a fascist based on rhetoric. I'm showcasing you his policy.
Why would he say this then if he's so transparent and so open and so actually wanting the press in? Why would he say that? Why does he say that? Why does he say
Because
that?
the press has an inherent liberal media bias and it's dishonest.
Oh, excuse me. Why? How do you prove that? What are the numbers? Where are the studies that this mainstream media is
Yes.
so liberal and progressive and communist and whatever you want to say?
I didn't say
towards
that.
the left
I
that
didn't say
they
that.
have this bias.
One thing, if you could do me a favor, I didn't put any words in your mouth. Don't put words in my mouth.
But you changed the argument, which I thought were talking about Donald Trump,
We
and
are.
you switched it over to
No,
Obama.
Do you understand the purpose for that, though? Do you understand the purpose?
No.
Okay,
I
so
want
you
you to
said Donald Trump is a fascist.
No, but why are we talking Obama?
Because
Why aren't we
Obama actively
talking-
sought to suppress the
why-
press, and Donald Trump doesn't. That's
And
relevant.
how do I know he hasn't? How do I know he hasn't? When I
Policy-wise, he
hear from
presents
his
no-
mouth that he does not like the press,
Yes.
and that they're lying, and that everything that they say is fake, with the exception of one news program.
Yeah. A lot of what they say, is fake. It's
And
unsubstantiated.
why does he also then retweet unsubstantiated claims from people?
See, again, we're getting back into rhetoric. Could you point me to any...
I have no other
Substantive policies.
The only information I have is what I can read and what I can see on television.
Okay.
And so whatever Donald Trump puts out as a tweet, that is what I know.
Okay. What do you read and what do you watch as far as television news?
I watch Fox and I watch MSNBC.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you balance kind of two sides of the
Yes,
coin.
I do.
That's very respectable. And I actually appreciate that. I think it's more valuable than watching CNN that kind of plays down the middle when they obviously lean left. And what do you read?
Why do you know CNN obviously leans left?
Well, if you look, do you want to take Jake Tapper's example? Do you want to take a multitude of their reporters? Do you want to take a multitude of people who actually work at CNN who have direct ties to the Hillary Clinton campaign? But I don't want to get off on the beaten path here. I brought that up because you definitively said Donald Trump is a fascist, right? I'm not mistaken. That was your assertion.
Well, I said that looking at that definition, I think parts of it met Donald Trump, but
Okay.
not all of it.
Okay, so
He has not made laws, or he can't make laws, but he has not done things. He's not pulled up the army or
He could,
whatever
though.
forces he could.
He could make laws.
To suppress people or oppress people. He has not done that. He
Right.
has actually, because we don't have these laws, we've been working, I think, under the assumption that some behaviors, they were customs, they were customary. This
Mm-hmm.
is the way people customarily did things. Customarily, presidential candidates showed us their tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
So no, Donald Trump hasn't broken any laws in not showing us his tax return. He
Okay.
simply has broken custom.
what does any of this have to do with Donald Trump being a fascist?
Nothing.
Okay.
I think I was getting to a point of there are points in that where with that definition that I think he pulls into fascism, but not all of it.
So you believe Donald Trump's tax returns, as it relates to him being a fascist, are more relevant than previous presidents and their suppression of the press?
No, I was using his tax returns as an example.
That's why I was using Barack Obama and his treatment of the press.
Right.
So I'm okay with using the tax returns. I disagree that would make him a fascist.
No, I didn't say that would make him
No,
a
I know, I
fascist.
understand. And I also
Okay.
didn't say that it would make Barack Obama a fascist. I was pointing out the act of suppression and prosecution of journalists, which was unprecedented under President Obama. Same thing we're talking about. You just mentioned that he can't make this into law. Well, unfortunately, because of executive orders now in precedent, there are a lot of executive orders that have made law. Most egregiously would be DACA or Title IX that we saw from the previous administration. Whereas executive actions are simply meant to actually guide current laws and how they are interpreted. So he could. So a good example of fascism would be someone who would sign an executive order that would actively suppress the press. He hasn't done that. An executive order, somehow using the Second Amendment or changing it thereof for a free citizenry to be an armed populace, or signing an executive order, for example, that might silence freedom of speech through roundabout ways. He hasn't done any of those things. He has actually rolled back regulations, rolled back taxes, rolled back red tape. He's been less invasive into your life. So I just don't see how
Less invasive into my life.
Yes.
And he can break laws and get away with it.
That's unfortunately been the case with look where you are. Everyone here is breaking laws. If you were to pass out
How
tickets,
are we all breaking laws here?
I'm talking about Washington D.C. There are no.
I don't live in D.C. I'm not from Washington
Okay.
D.C.
So he can. What laws would you say he's gotten away with?
The immigration.
Okay.
The problem at the border.
Okay.
That when people cross the border and try to apply for, what are these? The people who are saying that they are being oppressed or have trouble in their home countries.
Yeah.
Or trying
Refugees?
to asylum. Refugees.
Yeah.
Right. And so he says he is saying there are no refugees. These are simply all illegal immigrants.
Yes.
And as they step foot across the border, they are now criminals.
Yes.
So is he not breaking, is that a law or is that simply a custom United Nations somebody put out and said you have to take refugees in? Is he not breaking laws?
No, he's not. As a matter of fact, that is United States law. Your problem would be with existing United States law. If you cross the border and enter this country illegally.
Excuse me, I'm not down there saying you can't come across.
No, there should be someone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I'm saying I'm personally not down there saying these people are not allowed to come across, but somehow
Someone should be.
President Trump has his group of people down there saying they're not allowed to come across.
Right. Yeah, they're not allowed to cross. How is that fascist?
I'm saying, well, he's breaking laws.
No, he's not. He's enforcing the United States immigration law. You can't cross into this country illegally.
You're talking immigration law versus the problem of the refugees who are coming here and saying, I would like to apply for refugee status. I would like to prove that I've been.
Sure.
And they're not giving their day in court. They've had, I think there was something report of a woman who was, her day that she was supposed to actually be in court was on a plane being sent back to Venezuela or Guatemala or wherever, and the judge says, get her back here.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I want to make, because like we just, and I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate you being civil. I think we're maybe missing each other here. Can you explain to me, someone crosses the, let's say, Mexican-American border, right? Does so without any verification, just does so in the heat of the night. Illegal immigrant.
Right.
What is the difference between somebody who does that and somebody who does it and seeks refugee status? What's the difference between an illegal immigrant and an undocumented refugee who comes here illegally?
I think if there were people who were sitting at the border trying to walk into, from what I understood, that there are sort of government spots where they could walk in there and say, I'm here as a refugee, please allow me in, those places were closed down. How do you make it impossible for them not to obey the law and then arrest them and say you disobey the law?
What law is he disobeying by not allowing illegal immigrants in
Sir,
here?
I tell you, I'm not sure if it's United States law, if this is
It's
NATO,
not.
if this is, and we passed,
not.
we signed treaties with people saying we are going to treat refugees in this certain way.
It's not.
What's not?
It's not. You said you don't know if it's a law. It's not a law.
What is it then?
So because what you brought up,
who protects the refugees? Who gave us this? That a refugee comes in and says, "Please let me in."
I understand. I understand where you're coming from, a place of compassion, right? These people are coming.
No, please don't go there. Please don't go there. We're trying to say that. To me, a fascist is a person who. I'm not coming from compassion. I'm coming from the position
that wasn't an insult. I understand that because I'm compassionate toward these people. But rule of law does matter. Your problem is not with the United States president.
No, it's with President Trump.
It's with the United States.
No, it's with President Trump, who is
States
breaking the law and not allowing these people to come in.
No, he's not. He's not breaking the law. I think that's important. Again, there's nothing fascist about having borders. Again, if we go back to fascism, we're talking about autocratic control of government or a racial ethno-nationalist state. There's nothing fascist about actually enforcing current immigration law.
What current immigration laws?
I
don't even know what they are. Does anyone know what they are?
Yes.
What are they?
You're not allowed to come to this country illegally, and you should be deported if you do.
What about the refugees? I said I'm not talking about the immigrants. I'm talking about the refugees.
They're to be deported. They're illegal immigrants.
If they are absolutely prevented from doing it legally, then what is that?
That is enforcing immigration laws.
That is not enforcing immigration laws.
Do you believe that it's a right that anyone who wants to come here should be able to be granted citizenship?
No.
Okay. So what's the problem with vetting people who are coming here illegally or sending them back?
You are trying to twist this around. You are not addressing the refugees. You're not addressing the fact that people are coming here from Venezuela or Guatemala, whatever South American countries they're trying to come in, saying that I cannot stay there.
Yeah.
We will be killed. Oh, you have such compassion, but it's
irrelevant to the law.
It is irrelevant
to the law. Yes,
but it's very compassionate of you to say that it's too bad that
you just said you don't know
killed.
what the law is, and then I've informed you as to what the law is, and then you said Donald Trump is a fascist. So I want to make sure that I understand this.
Sir,
you believe Donald Trump is a fascist because he's enforcing immigration law?
I love the pressured speech.
Do you believe Donald Trump is a fascist because he enforces immigration law?
You guys can just twirl stuff around and
I'm not trying to twirl anything
pressure stuff around and say all you want, pretend to be compassionate, and you're not.
Can I say one last thing? One last thing? Can we discuss one last thing?
It's very hot.
I know it's very hot. Let me see if we can find common ground on this.
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
I doubt it.
I think you might be surprised.
I doubt it.
I actually have a real problem with fascism. And I would be the first. I would be locking arms with you against fascism. If, for example,
the man who probably did the most
can I speak?
to fight and for American rights and laws Mr. McCain, Senator McCain, and the disrespect he showed that man. Excuse me. Goodbye.
Okay. Well, you didn't allow me to speak, but that's pretty disrespectful, I would say yourself.